Hey, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all so much for joining us for this week's the Upskill Forum. We have an exciting topic for you all tonight. This evening, we're going to be talking to you all about how to have a crucial conversation. This is really great dialogue. This definitely is a topic that many don't like to touch. But before we jump even further into tonight's episode of the Upskill Forum, I want to start off by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vince, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Agile Consulting Group.
My name is Thaddeus, also known as TJ. I am the president and co-founder of the Agile Consulting Group. So welcome.
Welcome. So we're so excited to have you all this evening joining us. So the topic of tonight is how to have a crucial conversation. Many of us have been faced with times when we had to go in and have a hard conversation. I don't know about you, Thaddeus, but I've been faced many times with the task of having to have that tough conversation. Definitely is something that, can be a little gut-wrenching, especially if you don't know how to approach that.
Gut-wrenching, uncomfortable, scary, not knowing how it's going to be perceived, having just going into it the right way can make a huge difference.
I think the scary part is the unknown. You don't know how that person's going to respond. You don't know what your reaction necessarily is going to be. Many times in the heat of the moment, when we're feeling some kind of way already and our emotions are running high and we had time to allow that thing to marinate on the inside of us, going into that conversation can definitely be a scary conversation to enter into, because you may enter into that conversation wondering, will I have to leave my job after this conversation?
Right.
Will I have to leave the church? Or will this sever the ties of that friendship or that business relationship that I had?
No, that's real. I mean, when you think of it from a personal standpoint to a business, to a business perspective, there's so many mixed emotions that can get into it, because a lot of times when you go into a conversation, I feel how I feel. It don't matter. And it don't really matter how you feel, Vince, because I feel how I feel. And I know I'm right. And a lot of times we get our emotions tied into it, but there's so many important things to think about when having a crucial conversation. And that's really what we want to hit on tonight.
Absolutely. Because I'm right, Thaddeus.
Yeah, right.
So our first topic that we want to hit on as it relates to having a crucial conversation is pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose your battles. I think this is a skill that many people need to learn. I know that this is one that I practice on a consistent basis, is picking and choosing my battles, because I have to dictate where I allow my energy to go, and if this is even a conversation that's worth having.
No, I agree. It's so important to pick and choose your battles, because there are times when, yes, we need to have this conversation right now, or maybe we can wait for a little bit to have it. Understanding the concept and what you're trying to accomplish with that individual. But when you really think about the big picture of picking, is it really worth talking about? What type of outcome do I want from this? Like, if you go into the conversation with the wrong approach, it can end pretty bad.
Absolutely. Definitely can end pretty bad. And that's one thing that's important too, Thaddeus, is I think one of the most important things is, does it relate to ethics? Does something unethical transpire? What are some things that's unethical, Thaddeus?
Stealing.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's important to have a crucial conversation.
Honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, were you honest with it? Those are huge. And then, I mean, just thinking of your moral values. I mean, when you start thinking of, if you start going against the grain and it goes against the ethical train of doing what we do, it can end the wrong way.
So, I mean, if we put that back to ethics, if I could share, there was a time when I was completely new to a role, and there were some things that were happening, and I was a little, unsure. But I wanted to be sure. So I took time to do my own investigation to see if what I thought was happening was really occurring. And in that situation, Thaddeus, I remember I was frightened because, one, I'm new to this company. Two, I didn't know if they would believe me. And then three, I thought that everyone at that job had a great relationship with this person. And I felt like if I were to say something, that would backfire on me, given the nature of some of the relationships in that company, which too was unethical.
What is that called though? It's not suicide career, but it's like if you don't want to get blackballed or I can't think of what the exact
it's like is. You're committing career suicide.
Career suicide. That's it.
And that's what I felt like I was going to do, because I went to this company with the intentions of excelling in my career and going to the next level. And that was one of the things. I was afraid that if I spoke up and I said something, especially me being so new, I thought that, okay, my career is going to be over and everyone is going to hate me. So I didn't really know what to do in that situation. So what I ended up doing was I ended up storing up my own documentation as I was gearing up to call the personal ethics line to report some of the things that I found were happening. But lucky for me, I didn't have to go that route. Things kind of played out on its own, which led to that person's termination.
I like that, Vince. When you talk about having to have a crucial conversation and how that can affect the relationship. So if I can be transparent, I had a similar situation. I worked for a retail company for many years. And within that time frame, there were some very unethical things that happened with a manager that I worked with. And there were some things that this individual was doing that I knew was not right. And truthfully, I just didn't want to get into the mix of it. I didn't want to deal with the backlash from senior leadership. I didn't want to deal with the consequences. But at the same time, this was my manager. Yeah. And I struggled with, how is he going to deal with me? How will my promotions come? How will my raises come if I'm not doing the things that he wants me to do? So I had a crucial conversation with him. I could have went directly to HR, went directly over his head immediately. But before doing that, I wanted to have a conversation with him to help him understand, if this doesn't change, there will be, consequences that'll be out of my control, because I'll have to escalate. And it's really the approach and how you have it. And for the most part, it turned out good.
And I think that leads us perfectly into our next point, that is the feelings of discomfort. If I am feeling uncomfortable somewhere in a company, in a space, oftentimes that does warrant a crucial conversation to take place. Because the thing is, if you're showing up to a place where you're an employee or you are a contributor to the success of that thing or that relationship or whatever it is, if you enter into that place and you don't feel comfortable and you're starting to question some of the decisions that are being made, it's time to have a conversation.
Absolutely. When things get uncomfortable and you know when something isn't right, you have that moral compass within inside yourself. You have those morals that you have been brought up with. It's not right. Then we definitely did have a conversation. And you can't always worry about how it's going to make an individual feel or what the consequences are, because we talked about this in one of our previous episodes of your personal brand. Who are you? For me, I want anyone to know, no matter what. That don't sound like that. That's not something that TJ would do. I want to talk to him about that, because at the end of the day, this doesn't sound right.
And I think that that's good too, Thaddeus, because that also too, you're on the money tonight, man, because that also leads into our next point. Respect is no longer present. When respect is no longer present, it's definitely time to have a conversation. Because I don't know about you, but a part of my moral compass is I give respect, so I expect it. I expect respect back in return.
Exactly.
And if respect is no longer present, we have a bigger issue on our hands. Exactly. And that's when we're really going to have a conversation. But I think as it even relates to respect, that may be a more passionate, I'll say, conversation for me. Where I know that if it's a respect issue, I know that I have to say, Vince, you got to scale back, bro, because you need to make sure that you're the professional, and then also too that you're able to convey your message effectively without causing a huge tear, in a relationship, though I'm passionate.
I mean, but how many times have you heard that saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? I could say the exact same thing, and Vince has coached me a lot, because Thad will tend to just say how he feels it. It don't make sense. That's stupid, or that's crazy. And when you start saying things, what comes out of your mouth, there's going to be consequences for it, good, bad, ugly, and different. So thinking about, how can I phrase this? How can I say this without it coming across offensive or disrespectful? Because you can literally say the exact same thing without causing damage.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. It goes back to thinking before you speak.
Exactly.
And this is the thing, and I'm going to give you a tip, because this is what I do when I have to have crucial conversations. And I laugh at myself, and you all may laugh at me too. But one thing that I do is I am a sticky note guy. I like to write down bullet points of what I'm going to say. And hear me out before you all start laughing. We're going to go a little deeper into that as we go dive a little deeper into this conversation. But I'm a sticky note guy, and I need to write down bullet points of what I'm preparing to say.
Those sticky notes will help you stick to the facts.
Absolutely.
Because if you start going in with emotions and things like that, you can get a little skewed.
Exactly. So before we go there, because we'll cover that once we touch the initiating the conversation, another reason to have a crucial conversation is when you or someone else feels threatened or unsafe. I think that is extremely important too. One, I want to encourage you and let you know that your feelings are valid. However you feel is your truth. And if you're feeling threatened or you're feeling unsafe, that's definitely time to have a crucial conversation. If things that are important to you are threatened, definitely time to have a conversation. Even if we relate that even to what is happening in today's time with all of the social injustices and the Black Lives Matter movement. If you are experiencing individuals that are making comments, sidebars that you may deem as inappropriate or offensive, and it poses itself as a threat to you and a threat to who you are as an individual, that's definitely time to have a conversation.
Absolutely. If you feel threatened, especially whether it's in the workplace, whether it's with a friend, because there are times when you have a crucial conversation, some individuals are only your friend until they feel like you're not on their team or you disagree with them. And I oftentimes tell anybody, I want people in my circle that's going to challenge me. I want individuals in my circle that's going to help me do better, that'll help me be better. But I can tell you there's a lot of people out there, if you have a crucial conversation with them, in the moment you disagree with them, or you then become a threat. So then they start saying things and start making you feel uncomfortable. And when that begins to happen, you have to really evaluate and think about, is this the right circle that I need to be in? Because crucial conversations should only make the situation better, as long as they're approached the right way.
And that's the thing too, Thaddeus, and I ask this question all the time. Am I not allowed to disagree? I am entitled to my opinion.
Right.
And that is the thing. That's all it is. It's an opinion. But the thing is, with an opinion, And you know what? This is a great segue into our next topic, initiating the conversation. How do you initiate the conversation? You be respectful and professional.
At all times.
At all times, because you're the professional. This is a reflection of your personal brand and who you are.
Yep.
So keeping those things in mind, an opinion is all. It's just that. It's an opinion. And you're entitled to have that opinion. But if you're going to express that opinion or you're going to have that crucial conversation, keep in mind that it is important for you to be respectful and professional.
I agree. Respect goes a long way. And I oftentimes say, to get respect, you also have to give respect. It's the tone of how you deliver it.
Yeah.
It's the delivery and honestly, just the passion in it. A lot of times it's so easy to be fire off and have a hot mouth, I guess I can say. And you're only doing damage to yourself. You're doing damage to that relationship. Like I said, be it personal, be it in the ministry, be it in your professional career, but making sure that you think before you speak, making sure that the tone of what you say, that's something that I'm personally working on, because I know I even had a situation this past week. A good brother of mine said, "Oh, you ripped them apart." And I said, "I did." And I felt really bad, thinking that I said something that could have cut someone to the point that maybe it did rip them apart. But then he came back later and said, "Oh, I was just messing with you. I thought the way you said it added a lot of value. And I thought it was very tactful." So being professional and making sure that you're doing it the right way, because again, if you cut somebody so bad, regardless of what the dynamic of that relationship is, business, personal, whichever, it's only going to do more damage than it is good. And then what was the purpose in having the conversation?
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think what it all boils down to, Thaddeus, is people simply want to be heard.
That's it.
And I think that also ties into that respect piece, because when you exhibit respect, you're opening your ears to listen to what the other person has to say.
Or what about, I didn't cut you off. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. So what about, and you've also told me this, it's better to listen to understand instead of listening to just make a response.
That's so true. Many times people listen with the intent to respond and not with the intent to understand. So when you listen with the intent to respond, basically what that person is sharing with you at that moment is falling on deaf ears. And you're not receptive to even learn from that person, to really hear what they have to say, or even to even know where that person is coming from. And I think we've all been guilty of that, because at the end of the day, we want to be heard, if we be honest.
But Vince, you're not always right.
I'm not.
And the same thing I thought he would have told me, and Thad, you're not always right. But understanding that we are not always going to see things the same way. I'm not always right. Vince isn't always right. And when you come into this with a mind to hear and get an understanding and actually talk it through, that's when you're going to reach a resolve.
And we covered that point. Be open-minded. It's so extremely important to be open-minded. That touched on it a little bit earlier. Stick to the facts. That is so huge. You must stick to the facts. And I mentioned it earlier that I take a sticky note and I write down bullet points, because I like to stick to the facts. When you're entering into these types of conversations, avoid at all costs the "I feel" statements. Because when you start saying "I feel," then that can become what you're saying can become jaded. And people at that point will start poking holes in what you're saying, because the thing is, with feelings, we can't necessarily see it.
No, I agree with that. Even from a managerial perspective, I can think of a lot of times I've had to have a crucial conversation with an employee, and I can tell that employee, that you're not working to your full potential, or I feel that you need to be on time for work. No, the facts are you were supposed to be here at 8 a.m. and you got here at 8:15. The facts are you were supposed to have this type of tone and delivery on that phone call that you had, but this is the way that you sounded. When you stick to the facts, there's no argument in between. But when you start saying things like "I feel this way," well, that is all based off of maybe perception. That's all based off of opinion. And again, to Vincent's point, it does become jaded, because you're not focused on what those facts are.
Yeah. No, that's so good. In piggybacking off of you again, those I feel statements, I mean, they can definitely get you in trouble.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing as well. Many times when you're entering into crucial conversations, people want you to back up your claim with facts. Tell them exactly what they did, what your response was, what your hope was to accomplish when X, Y, and Z transpired. And I could assure you, people become more receptive to what we're having to share, even in that moment. And then that leads into this other point too, tone and body language. You want to watch your tone and body language, because a lot of times too, just because you're not saying it does not mean that you're not displaying it. It can be all over your face. And that's the thing too. We know that entering into the crucial conversations, sometimes we're already in our feelings, and those things sometimes show on our face, or we're already on edge, or we already calculated how many more times we were giving them before we were going to blow our top. And in our minds, we said, you know what? They got one more time and I'm just going to let it rip. And you have to be mindful of that, because sometimes, though you're not saying it and you're thinking that you're doing good, how many of you truly can admit that you need to work on your facial expression?
I'm laughing at that because there's so many times I serve as a minister in my church. And there's so many times that I'll get a text from one of my sisters or one of my brothers, and it's fix your face. And I'm looking like, what's wrong with my face? But there may be something that have happened, and then it shows. And it's the same thing, especially when you're passionate about something. How can you make sure that delivery through your body language, through your tone, through your facial expressions does not bleed through, and everybody's looking at you like, so that's how you really feel?
Yeah.
I can say one thing out of my mouth, but then if my face shows something different, and Vincent will tell me in a minute, no, that doesn't make sense. I can tell that we're not on the same page. What are you thinking? And I'm like, no, everything's good. He's like, no, your body language and your face will tell it all. And that is so important when having a conversation, that we keep in mind how our demeanor is. Even something as simple as how you're sitting in a chair. If you are having a conversation with somebody and you're, playing on your phone, or you're looking around and you're not engaged, it shows you really don't care. It doesn't really matter. And I've had crucial conversations with employees, and they're really looking at me like, okay, what's getting ready to happen? What's next? Do you want to be a part of this great organization? Do you want to continue to grow your career? Because based off of what you're telling me, your mouth is saying one thing, but your body language, your delivery, your tone is telling me something totally different.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because a lot of times how we truly feel reflects in our behavior.
Yep.
So being mindful of your tone and your body language would definitely will help your case with making sure that what you're hoping to accomplish aligns up with what you're saying and how you're giving off that body language. And then also too, enter the meeting with an action plan or a strategy in mind, and be open to collaboration. Understand this: just because you have this great idea or how you feel that things will work or be better, you have to also be open to whomever you're entering into the meeting with, their contributions to the action plan on things that they feel that needs to happen as well. It's not a dictatorship, it's a partnership. And when you start viewing those, rather if you're in leadership or not, or even if you're a subordinate going to a leader in a crucial conversation, you all should view each other as partners, because it takes the two of you, and it takes the team, it takes a partnership to make any organization go, to make anything work. So stop looking at it as this is my subordinate, or this is my superior, but view each other as partners.
Exactly.
And go into it with a mindset that we're going to collaborate. We're going to work together to reach a resolve. So here are some things that I think that we can work on. Or if you don't have anything to contribute because maybe you were blindsided by this conversation, I want to give you an opportunity to come up with some things as well. And we can plan to meet again to ensure that we both are working toward the same common goal.
Not like that. And I'm sure many of our viewers that are watching are thinking things like, I go into it with this mindset every day, but that other individual doesn't have the same attitude, or they're not willing to work with me.
Yeah.
Well, then, sir or ma'am, do your part. Do your due diligence that you can say that I feel good knowing that I had an open mind. I went into this conversation and I had good demeanor. I went into this conversation making sure that I stuck to the facts.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Life is not always going to be fair, but if you can legitimately say that you've done your due diligence, especially if it's in corporate America, especially if you're working with the customer, that's why there's other parties or leaders that's above you. Because if it needs to be escalated, you can say that you've done your due diligence. And even in a personal relationship, if there is a time that you have to have a crucial conversation, maybe you need to get a mediator or someone that can help with that. But making sure that you've done your due diligence.
Yep. And I think also, too, another thing that's important, find a trusted confidant. Find someone in your organization or in your peer group, or not even peer group, but a leader in a leadership position, ideally. And the reason that I state that, too, is because when you're dealing with other leaders, there's a greater expectation of confidentiality. And make sure that you actually can trust that person. And what you're doing is you're not going to them to vent or complain, but hear me out. When you find that trusted confidant, you go to them and you let them know what are some things that's happening. Seek them for advice to give you tips and strategies to aid your case in you trying to reach a resolve. And then also, too, I'm going to jump to this point, too, document that you reached out to that confidant. Document the things that you all discussed. Document once you have that crucial conversation with that individual that you needed to have that conversation with. Document what was the follow-up items or what was the action plan and the strategy that you all have come up with. Document it.
Documentation is huge. I work with an individual, and he always tells me, make a note to file, make a note to self. So even within my cellular device, I always have in my notepad different things that have happened, regardless the good, the bad, and the ugly, that I can actually look back on this time, this date, and say, this is, exactly what happened. And I'm sorry, Vince, everything we're talking about, I see I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when you're kind of passionate about it and you start thinking about a lot of the situations that you've had, it's so easy to speak to and understand.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's why it's also important as well is establish a follow-up date to discuss progress of collaborative strategy. Otherwise, if you don't set a follow-up date, your meeting pretty much was just a conversation.
That's right.
And it very well so could have just been in vain. There should always be action items follow up after you enter into crucial conversations. This will ensure that you both are on the same page and that you're all working toward the same goal and that you truly have the desire to reach a resolve.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. You hit everything on the head.
Beautiful. So thank you all so much for tuning in. So we're going to open up the floor for Q&A. So questions and answers. So if you have any comments, questions, answers, questions that you want answers to tonight based off of tonight's topic, go ahead and drop those in the comment section now. Thaddeus and I will go ahead and we'll answer those questions. So we'll pause for a moment to allow you all to share some comments with us. We have Lamar Mack. He said, amen. I think we were preaching really good. We have our friend Kendrick Skills. Hey, how you doing, Kendrick? He told us good talk. So glad to hear that. Alicia Jones, phenomenal educator. She said, amen. I think we really were preaching to the choir. Brandy, she said, hashtag crucial conversations. You are absolutely right, Brandy. We got to have those crucial conversations. She said also, this is good. We're so glad that you enjoyed the dialogue tonight. Lamar Mack, he commented again and he said that that's good. So we're so glad that you all enjoyed the dialogue that we shared with you all tonight. And we want you guys to continue to tune in with us every week, every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be right here on the Facebook page of Agile Consulting Group, coming with some amazing topics for you all so that you all can continue to grow as professionals. That's why this is the Upskill Forum, where we're able to train and teach you all on certain things in a conversation-like setting. So we're also glad that you all chose to tune in with us. And now we are going to our announcements. And allow me a moment to get those ready for you guys. So join us August 29th for our Climbing the Corporate Ladder webinar. You can register today at www.agileconsultinggroup.com. We have an early bird registration fee of only $60. After that early bird special is done, ticket prices will be at $75. So we want to encourage you all to tune in to that.
Definitely, Vince. I think everyone understand this webinar is something that is going to really help enrich and empower you, especially as you look to grow to that next level in your career. So we have a select group of professionals that are going to come and really just pour into every individual that registers for this carpet. So looking to go to that next level, we have the tools that you need. So definitely check out the website. We'll be happy to share more information with you, but it's something that you don't want to miss.
Awesome. And go ahead and tell them where they can find us every week.
And you can meet us here every Tuesday at 6:30 Central Standard Time for the Upskill Forum. Also, definitely join our group on Facebook, the Agile group. We share a lot of resources in there and a lot of tools that really can help empower you and help take you to the next level, even within your career. Follow us again on Facebook, Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn. We have a lot of tools that will continue to help you evolve and go to that next level.
Awesome. And for those of you who enjoyed what you heard tonight and you're interested in learning more about our services and what we offer here at Agile, to schedule your one-on-one consultation, email us at engageus@agile-consultinggroup.com, and we can get more information over to you if you're interested in scheduling your one-on-one consultation with either myself or Thaddeus, or we can even do a joint session with you as well, because we want to sharpen you up so that you can reach the next level of your career, get your business started, become a better leader, or even improve your company's morale through team building as well. So those are the things that we offer. So we want to thank you all so much for tuning in with us during this broadcast of the Upskill Forum. And we can't wait to see you guys next week. We have an even greater topic in store for you. But if you want to learn what that topic is, make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and also make sure that you join our private group, as Thaddeus mentioned, the Agile group, and we'll have more information in store for you then. And what's our motto, Thaddeus?
Live Agile, work Agile, succeed Agile.
Thank you all. Until next week.
Take care.